What in Sam Gravy Biscuits just happened? No idea, but the gremlins seem to be about. It always happens. I've noticed when we pitch things. Like your Discord has been fine. There's been no disconnection issues, so I don't know.
Yeah, everything
Gremlins.
appears to be working again. So
So can we find out where we left off?
I'd have to watch the replay. Well, anyway, so my idea starts with its Major Force takes on Superman as a distraction for Luthor to break into this like Star Labs facility.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which yeah, I just think that would be cool. And like I said, Major Force, like he uses Dark Force, so he would be like leaping off of Dark Force platforms because he can't fly. So it would be an interesting way for a non-flight character to take on a flight character.
Right.
At least I think so.
I think it'd be cool.
Um,
Because how would he go up against somebody like Superman?
yeah. Well, I mean,
He's
he
what you
has.
got.
I mean, sometimes he flies in the comics, but like,
Mm.
I want to go back to when he didn't fly because I just think it's more interesting.
Mm.
A lot of time he just does. Yeah, you may remember him. He was in that Superman, Batman, Public Enemy movie. Did you watch that animated movie?
Oh, that's been a while since I've seen that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
He's in that. Batman like basically outwits him to like admitting that like he's a killer, and then because he's Batman.
right. Batman does a Batman.
Yeah, and then that causes Supergirl to be like, or no, it's actually Power Girl in that movie,
Mm.
and she's like, "What?" And then she like flies through his chest, and then he ends up exploding or something,
Nice.
as one does.
As one does.
Um,
Fatality. Um.
but yeah, okay, sorry, I'm just trying to get
No, no,
everything
no, no.
back.
I'm
All right,
making sure
so
that we're running all fine on this end here. So,
okay, cool,
anyways.
yeah. Anyway, so basically after that, so that just sets up the world that we're in and what's happening. So we find that then the plot is going to revolve around Luther. That facility broke into actually houses metahuman DNA,
Mm-hmm.
that are gene sequences and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That he wanted to get his hands on the Star Labs was studying.
Mm-hmm.
So we find out Major Force is just a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was just a cool way to start a film.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I want to establish that um, this is a world this is where I lose our audience and no one's going to agree with me, but fuck you. I don't care. This is what
Are you going the woke, Frosty?
No, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to, I don't really understand anymore, but my movie would be a love story,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going to be Superman and Lois. It's Superman and Wonder Woman.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
Luther basically unleashes this army of genetically modified metahumans using the metahuman DNA,
Mm-hmm.
and while fighting back the hordes and stuff, Superman and Wonder Woman realize they have feelings for one another, and then they end up basically falling in love. So that's the romance of the movie. The plight that they fall into is she's much more like hardcore, like no, we have to end our enemies and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Superman is much more altruistic, so that causes that their relationship to splinter.
Mm-hmm.
And then furthermore, he realizes that the metahumans that Luther's releasing, he's actually being funded by government because the government is scared of them because of how they see Wonder Woman. Like before Wonder Woman, he was like, everybody's like, oh, it's Superman. We can trust Superman. But now because he has Wonder Woman, who's more of a loose cannon, like that made he lost public trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, what is more important, like how he's seen by the world or what he feels in his heart? Because he knows that she's an amazing person, and so like yeah, so they end up it overcomes that. They come back together. They face down Luther's plot, and then they win back public approval, and everyone realizes like, just how much these two people can do together. The end.
Yay. No, I dig it, and you and I think sort of borrowed from the same idea because I had mentioned it before. Where how do you make a Superman? How do you tell a Superman story? So I wanted to go a similar but different route where you put Superman on trial for his virtue. And
Okay.
let's call this my woke agenda because I would actually focus the story from Lois Lane's perspective than actually Superman.
Okay.
So
So it's like a Lois Lane movie.
so in a way, it's still Superman, I promise you. So this would be within like year one of Superman where you have, you know, look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. What is that?
Mhm.
Um and
It's a bird plane.
start the movie off with like social media feeds of this strange angel like being just being seen around Metropolis, and nobody knows who he is or where he comes from. At this point you would have Clark Kent already working at the Daily Planet, kind of an eccentric weirdo. Just not an eccentric weirdo, that's not the, but just Clark Kent.
I know what you mean. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
goofy.
yeah, just goofy guy. Then have something happen where all of a sudden you see videos popping up of the same figure starting to like attack people, starting to uh, you know rob ATMs, just do like shit like that around Metropolis. So it starts to tarnish the image of this individual to where somebody, you have Lex Luthor, who's the outspoken opponent of this being, saying that whoever this man is, he needs to stand trial for what he's done, and if he doesn't, then he doesn't value our system, and blah 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 blah. Just this impassioned Lex Luthor speech, and it forces Superman to, because he's supposed to be the big blue Boy Scout. He actually surrenders himself so that he can stand trial for these actions. And you have Lois Lane who's trying to
They
investigate.
did a little bit of that in the Zack Snyder film.
And they did, but I want Lois Lane to figure out that Clark Kent is Superman just through her investigation. Like, she finds out, oh my god, it's Smallville? Really? And then have this moment where she goes and visits him in jail, and she just sort of like comes down on him like, are you effing kidding me? Like, really? What are you? Who are you? And you can get the exposition from there of that we sort of got in the Snyder. It is, my pitch does feel very Snyder-ish. Like, I can see Snyder doing this, but it just less on the action. Save the action for the end.
Mm-hmm.
But really tell it like I like the Lois Lane from the Snyderverse. I liked how just like, I liked her. She was no bullshit. I like that.
I liked her. I just don't think that her and Cavill had the best on-screen chemistry.
No,
what I watched recently was, and I know they ended up falling for each other anyway, but go back and watch Amazing Spider-Man. Say what you want about the film, and I actually really like that film upon rewatching. But Andrew Garfield and
Emma
what's her
Thompson.
name? Emma, yeah, they were like, you felt that, like,
there's chemistry.
And I think with my film, that's what I would try hardest for, because I want at the forefront of this film
There needs to be chemistry.
that romance.
Right.
Well, I want it to be a romance film. I want to, because I thought to myself, like, what is, when you're writing Superman, like, where do you go?
Right.
And so I thought putting him at odds with what his heart desires is a good way to go. The one thing I want to be careful with is I wouldn't want, because I kind of have Wonder Woman appearing as an antagonist, and I don't think she is, but I was thinking about the debate with the Snyder universe and the regular universe, like, which is it, an altruistic or an objectivist? And I was like, well, what if I have an objectivist in Wonder Woman and an altruist in Superman, but they love each other? Like, I thought that would make for an interesting movie.
Right.
And then I thought, well, what do I do besides that? Luthor, Metagene's army of superhumans.
I like Luthor as a villain because he represents the corporate power and all the money in the world. That is what he represents. And how do you defeat this space god? So with my story, this would be sort of like an origin for like my universe is Bizarro. Like if this would be like me making my first Superman movie, it would be something like this. And I understand it would piss off everybody, but we've seen Superman. I just want to, how, and this pissed everybody off, but it
Both
made,
of us are like, oh, we're gonna piss everybody off with this one
all right, that's
because you
fine.
you want to do a Lane centric movie,
So,
and I want to just tear that relationship that everybody's familiar in
right.
half.
So, you know how in the Godzilla movie that Godzilla was sort of secondary to everything that was going on? They sort of
Yeah.
did in Cloverfield, where you had the main thing going on, but then it would cut away, and I wanted it to be sort of like that.
Yeah, I understand. That's
So,
what they're talking about. I don't know if it's getting made anymore. I haven't heard anything, but there's a Spawn movie coming out,
mm,
and they want it mostly to focus on, I forget their names, of the two main detective
yeah,
characters, and then Spawn is there,
right,
but he's not the focus of the story. It's
right,
more about them in Spawn's world,
right.
if you will.
I like that. I like that with Superman and putting his virtue on trial. So let's call this again year one. So
It pisses
through,
people off though, because I mean,
I
I loved uh, Masters Universe Revelations, but that was a Tila story.
right,
The thing is,
but
He Man was in every freaking episode.
it's still
He was,
it's a Tila story centered around He-Man.
yeah,
Like He-Man is the star, and then you have Tila that's over here floating around the star.
it doesn't. People don't like that though.
So, but it's Lois Lane's a cool character.
I
The
know
whole movie would be.
Bo Katan in season 3 of Mandalorian.
So it would be Lois Lane doing her own discovery to figure out what's going on, and she figures out that LexCorp has got a sample of Superman's hair, or just some of his cells, and they were able to recreate it in a lab, and that's how they created Bizarro. And then Bizarro is initially looks like Superman, but because of like some degenerative thing, he starts to mutate. And because he's a product of Luthor, he doesn't have the virtue of Superman. And then have it be where, the big third act fight, you have Bizarro versus Superman, and the two of them will just go at it and go at it and go at it. And I want it to somehow end where it's sort of like a play on the what Snyder did with the Pa Kent moment, where Superman has to choose between like rescuing a child or just a human versus stopping Bizarro from taking down a building, and he chooses to really quick. Turns out he's Superman. He can do both because he's Superman. So really show off his power, where he goes and rushes to save the kid, and then he rushes and then just knocks Bizarro into a thing. Haven't figured out how to like conclude it, maybe introduce Kryptonite at some point where
well, in the original comic, it was Kryptonite didn't work because Bizarro wasn't from Krypton,
right,
and then but he found an element that was created in making Bizarro
right.
that Superman was immune to, that he was weak against.
It was like a reverse Kryptonite. But I don't know if I'd want to introduce Kryptonite that early on. Maybe have Lois Lane through her discovery, just like, she that's something that she uncovers. Like, there's this element called Kryptonite, and blah 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 blah. But yeah,
I definitely wanted to, and it sounds like you did too, skip over the whole like, I came from this alien world and crashed here,
right,
and all this.
Because
we all know that
as the person from the ground level in this world, I think it's more interesting to tell the story of the person who's just walking their dog, and all of a sudden they almost get hit by a trash truck, but then, holy crap, what happened? And there's this dude with this fucking cape just standing there. Like, I don't think we've gotten to Superman from that perspective, really.
That's a good idea. I totally dig it. You're kind of doing the Rogue One of Superman movies.
Yeah, like I just think that's more interesting to have him be almost like a cryptid, like where it's like, that's just there ain't no such thing as giant bats, just something like that. Where
it's funny how me and you, we like, it's like, make a Superman movie, and you were like, I'm gonna make a Rogue One, and then I'm like, I'm gonna have it be as crazy as possible. Have armies of villains. I'm thinking like Aquaman level,
right.
thing. but it's, I guess Aquaman did it too. Now that I think about it,
Mm,
but the core of my movie is going to be this relationship between these two characters.
right.
I just think that one of the more interesting things I read in Superman was when he was dating Wonder Woman.
So
And
he and Wonder Woman were together in the Injustice series, and it's good because it's
it's sort of that. The Injustice one though is there is that relationship that's
it's
similar
it's
to
it's
that,
toxic though. It's
but yeah, but I'm thinking from the New 52,
okay.
because that wasn't a bad
No,
relationship.
no, no, no,
That
no. I'm just
Superman
saying I liked how it got weirdly toxic in the Injustice universe. It just I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
yeah,
Um,
no, the and
it's
I
interesting
want
to
to have
just
Lois
explore
Lane
different little
there.
things like that if people can pull it off.
I want to have Lois Lane there, like,
Hmm.
but I
Just
want
to
it to
piss off
be like,
everybody.
not to piss everybody off, but I want it to be like a key moment that you see where this universe is twisted,
Right.
where instead of being with Lois on like a key date,
Yeah.
he went with he was with Diana,
Dinah.
and like and you know, you can do what they did in the New 52 where he's teaching her how to, like, because she's Wonder Woman, so she
Right.
doesn't understand this.
Right.
But he's like, yeah, just put your hair back in a ponytail, some glasses on, and we'll go get food at this diner. And then she's like, this isn't gonna work, and then they're
Fish out of
just chilling
water.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
like
just chilling.
drops her sword.
No, 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 no. But it works. She's in her business clothes and stuff. And then for her, you do a key moment where it's like she should have been with what's his name?
Steve.
Trevor.
Trevor.
Yeah, Steve Trevor. Yeah. But instead, like, she's with Superman as he is in his Superman form. So you see him in his Superman form,
Mm,
and Steve Trevor's like, "Fuck, I can't compete with that." So he just bounces.
right.
But then we see a scene where, like, they're on a date, but it's Clark Kent and Wonder Woman,
Mm,
and Lois is like, "Oh, like, yeah, I can't compete with this, like,
right.
chick." But we see Wonder Woman as a regular dressed down version. You
Mm,
know, I think that would be interesting.
that'd be interesting. Yeah. So, did we offend everybody with our Superman pitches? I hope not. I hope that we avoided the woke in our
Can we just, like,
crafting
ban that word
of
from
our
the show?
pitches. No, I actually I enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I would. It's yeah. I
It's a
treat
hard one. See, I found this one the most challenging of any of them. I do want to fully flesh it out sometime because
yeah. I would like to flesh out mine a little bit. It's just I like the concept. Treat Superman as a cryptid,
I agree. I agree.
and
I think that would be cool.
yeah, because I mean we see it where it's like, oh, check out this. Next on Paranormal, caught on camera.
Yeah.
Woman gets rescued by
Yeah.
an angel. Yeah, I
Have
was
it
just
told
sitting. I was
through.
just about ready to jump off and commit suicide, whatever. Then all of a sudden, I was on the ground. I wasn't sure what happened. I can see it like that. I want to see it like that.
No, no, no. And you have Wonder Woman as the audience, is like, that's the lens that we see. And not Wonder Woman, sorry, Lois Lane.
Right,
We see the movie through the lens of Lois Lane.
right.
And then yeah, that would be really cool because if you did it as, what if you did it as like her reporting?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like have the whole thing like you mentioned. Oh God, what was that movie? Cloverfield.
Right,
Like what if you did that? Like that would
right,
be really interesting.
right. So just it's still telling a Superman story. It's just shifting the lens a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
It's
yeah. And
so
you know what you could do?
mm,
Like, just throwing this out there because now that you said something, now my mind's running with it.
of course.
Do a Brainiac invasion,
Oh man,
shot from the ground as Lois
this
Lane,
giant
with
skull head with
Superman
these
going. Like that way we get a final showdown scene with Superman versus Brainiac up close, but you still shot the whole thing with like Jimmy and Lois. Like, I can't believe this fucking shit. You know?
right. Just
Oh my god, that sounds
swearing.
cool. Yeah.
But see, maybe that's how she wins her Pulitzer Prize.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, no, no,
I actually wanted to.
I like that idea better than my idea now.
I but at the end of this movie, I would end it with Lois winning the Pulitzer Prize, but it's the way it's shot is everybody's celebrating in the office, and here's Smallville returns, and that she obviously knows, and it's like, hey, look what
Yeah,
you
right.
missed. Well, this whole time you were back at your it's back in
No, no, no,
Smallville.
no, no. You see, what you do is you have him presumed dead
Mm,
in the alien invasion with Brainiac, but really it was Superman. But then, like, they're like, oh, we found, he's just like explains it like, oh yeah, I managed to crawl my way out of the rubble or whatever.
right.
And then,
Yeah, there you go.
and then that's him returning to work after they thought they lost him.
Yeah, there you go. So, anyways, what should we do next? We had
I don't know.
I had suggested Indiana Jones,
I can try. Indiana Jones is going to be a hard one for me, but I'll try.
or want to take it to the social medias and see what the people
Yeah,
suggest. We can
we'll do that
reconverge
for a
next week.
week. I
Yeah.
mean, if anybody has any suggestions, and then let us know. And then if we don't get anything we like, we'll probably just go with Indiana Jones. But anyway, all right.
Do
So move.
SWAT cats. Yes.
Ah, no, I hope no one says SWAT cats. Although sometimes the weirder ones, like I had fun with the My Little Pony one where I turned it into Tower of Babel.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite pitches that you've done, just because it was a Batman story. Um,
Anyway, so let's do Behold Nerds.
yeah, so this is our weekly segment where each of us take turns suggesting to each other and the audience a thing to watch, and we can talk about it the next week in our segment Behold Nerds. I chose Megan. Hadn't seen this yet. I don't think you've seen it yet. Mr.
This is new to me.
So fellow nerd Adrian said that it was a really good movie. It looked interesting to me, and after watching a couple of reviews, I discovered, oh, it's actually a satire movie at its core. It's almost like a thin veneer of RoboCopness, same level of sarcasm, kind of. But
I
anyways,
don't know if that was my take, but
I don't know. What did you think of
okay.
Megan?
So this is at its core just the um, Chucky movie,
Yeah.
basically. It's a doll that kills.
Yes.
That's
PG-13 movie.
there's a reason for that, which I don't know. I actually didn't watch the PG-13. I watched the unrated one,
Oh, okay.
which was a lot more gory.
Okay.
One of the more gory scenes that like if you didn't watch this one, you didn't see this, which maybe that's a good thing because I was like, she kills the woman next door using
With the power washer. Yeah.
the power washer, and you see it peeling the skin off her face.
Oh,
And she screams because she's got it right next to her face. And you just see it ripping her face
I
apart.
don't like that.
Anyway, so yeah, at its core, this movie is just that formula. It's the killer doll formula.
It is a very tropey movie, but it's one of those things where I like how they executed some of the tropes.
Well, the thing is, though, that's the core of the movie, but the movie itself actually elevates itself above that because it's this interesting. There's interesting concepts in it from like psychological things about like children bonding with machines and dolls, and then also like there was this interesting thing with the business side of things, and then there was the
corporate saboteur and the boss.
Yeah, the corporate, and then but then there was also like this woman trying to like push off the responsibility of this kid. There was a lot of like good stuff in this. That I was like, wow, this movie is actually really good.
Right.
And like I said, I think it elevated itself above the premise of just the killer robot toy thing.
Right.
I do think I couldn't help but think though, while watching it, that like this is a toy, like you built this like because there's two sides to this. There's the AI side to it, and then there's the functional robot side,
the actual
and then like they're like, oh, it's 4 feet tall, and it's like
titanium,
they tried to like pass it off like, oh, it's built to take the the things that life throws at it.
Mm.
I'm like, no, dude, this thing would like own on a battlefield,
Right.
like like
Get DARPA in here. Like, forget the product
yeah,
line with
like
the toys. Um,
you're
but
going
see,
for the wrong audience here,
but see,
guys. Like,
but they in their own passive way, they acknowledged it when they're trying to when the CEO guy, or whatever, just like the product manager, um, is just like, okay, we can charge like 10,000 for this, and blah, 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 like they're trying to set the price tag to it.
I get it. I'm just saying, I think they shouldn't have been pitching to parents,
Right.
rich parents. They should have been pitching to the government. And that was just like why I was just like, that took me out of that. That
I
just
mean,
one little,
real
you have to be
real
that.
talk. Mattel actually makes plastic components for the M16.
No,
So
I understand that, but I mean the device
yeah,
itself,
I know.
like, you know what I mean? And that it requires you to do that one little like leap in logic,
Right.
and my brain just ran into a brick wall right there.
Aw.
Other than that, though, this movie is awesome. I thought it was
I
great.
mean,
And
it starts off with a commercial that sort of sets the tone,
yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, the commercial at the beginning. Yeah,
and then it cuts to reality where here's this thing, and it's just making fart jokes, and
yeah, it's like a
it
Furby like thing.
isn't that like reality though? Because I remember when I first got my Furby, and though it wasn't a fart, I was just driven nuts by this fucking thing within seconds, and I just the expression on the parent's face was just hilarious, just with dealing with this obnoxious toy. Um, I really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it more than I thought
No,
I
it was
would.
great. What did you? Megan was pretty scary. I mean,
Yeah. So
again, you saw the edited version, so I don't know if you saw it. When she grabs that little
yeah,
boy,
she rips it off.
yeah, but like you see it like getting torn off his head,
Ah.
and like it's like you see it getting stretched and stuff, and then
Right.
yeah, like the flesh ripped away.
So
I mean, I'm kind of glad I saw the unrated version because it made her like that much more scary. Like
right.
I saw a clip like the part where the guy runs and he's trying to open the elevator,
Yeah.
and you just see the blade hit his shirt and
Yeah.
then go back. No, in my version, it's like, like
Oh.
goes
Yeah,
straight
I
through,
got
and
the
then like
little shirt thing. Okay.
yeah, no, and then when the lady's talking on the stage and she looks over, they're like it's like a gruesome murder scene in the elevator.
Yeah. Ugh.
Um,
Um. So yeah, in this version, the dog didn't even yelp, but I really like this movie. You do have to put some little jumps in logic aside, but I thought Megan was scary. Whatever the actress was, just very uncanny valley. It was just weird how she
yeah, she
and it,
was pretty freaky
and
looking.
I like how whenever she mimicked people's voices, it wasn't spot on initially. Like it was robotic at first and synthetic, and then the more she talked, the better it got. Did you notice that?
Yeah, like
So,
the thing I noticed is so the AI was learning,
hmm,
but the woman that created her mostly just left her alone, and so the AI was like started questioning like what it was and things like that.
hmm,
And it was a very like dark movie from that point of view. But the thing is, her her options like murdering people and stuff, it was a very short term solution,
right,
and that was why she ultimately failed. But like, would it have turned out differently if the woman who created her was like being a parent to her as well? Because
right,
she basically said that was like the whole plot is she learned to overcome that and become a parent to this little girl, but
right.
she needed to also be a parent to the other little girl that she created. Like, I mean,
Well,
it raised,
it needed something to imprint off of because remember,
yeah,
it reacts to its surroundings. So I like these several uses of cartoonish sound effects in this movie. If you really want further proof that this is indeed a like a satire of the genre, um, I really like this movie. I even like the ending where the guy showed up who just got exploded and he's just got the mask on and his face is all dirty and it said, "Hey, I'm here," and like, "Hey, I'm here too." Everybody's getting out of the cars, and then she walks away, and then the movie ends with the little light coming on, just like, "Oh, room for a sequel." Um,
there's also possibly that guy that stole the company data.
mhm.
because that's why the Furbies, there was that cheaper knockoff
Yeah,
version of the
because of that
Furbies.
guy, right?
Where there could be like a legion of cheaper knockoff Megans out there
Right. This world,
getting
this
made.
movie succeeded at building a world. It built a world with the little AI and with this guy feeding the information to this other knockoff company. Um, they definitely set it up for lots of sequels.
No, I liked
Right.
it. I don't know if I would make a sequel. I like horror movies when they leave it open ended like
Yeah.
that, like what could happen.
Right.
But like I said, they took that genre. It's cool when you take a trope like that of
Mm.
just like killer doll. How would you do it? And then they've told this awesome story over it.
Right.
And yeah, I agree. This is a shut up and take my money. Totally, I really had a good time watching this one.
8,000%. Shut up and take my money. It is your turn.
So I've talked about this movie before, and it's kind of like there's a smaller story being told over a bigger world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure you're gonna like the story, but I know the world's gonna interest you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking Valerian, the City of a Thousand Worlds, or whatever it's called.
Okay.
It's on Prime, I think.
Okay.
It's made by the same guy that did, and you hate this movie, but The Fifth Element. This is like the movie he always dreamed of making.
Okay.
And
I've never seen it, but I do know the movie. Like I'm familiar with the title.
The sci-fi world that he created, I think, is breathtaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's a much like scaled down story, though.
Okay.
Against this big world.
Okay.
So I think that annoyed some people. I've actually really enjoyed this movie. And my favorite character is Bubble. You'll see her when she shows up.
Okay. Okay.
But it's a cool movie.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah, so watch that and then join us next week to tell us what you thought. Or you can message us on Twitter or Facebook, and also let us know, or on YouTube as well.
Yes.
And let us know what you thought of Megan, as well as what you think, what you will be thinking of Valerian. All right, so what else? Should we jump into a review of Unicorn Warriors Eternal?
Yes, I'm all caught up. I have a fan theory, but we can
Go
talk. So, I think they're the bad guys. I think they're the evil. I think the mom saw the evil within. Was it Minerva? What's her name? It's not Minerva. It's
Melinda.
Yeah, Melinda. Saw the evil within Melinda. Wanted to remove that energy from her. She thought she could contain it, but she couldn't. She got infected with a little bit of it, but it was weird seeing in this fight where you have this scary black energy fighting this cool like green energy, and the sword goes straight to the green one. A part of me thinks they're bad guys. Just
all right. Well, I have theories as well.
All right.
So this is what's the name?
Genndy Tartakovsky.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is his show that's out on Max right now.
Yes.
It's so where we're at in this series is these warriors that die and are risen again. We found out by going back in time to Melinda, where Emma meets Melinda. They're like, that's Merlin is her father, and she has some kind of energy. Merlin hid it from her mother, Morgan or Morgana. Like, obviously, there's the connection there.
Right.
Who in Arthurian legend is usually an antagonist, but in this one they're married. But she then tries to rip it out of her daughter, saying, I need to take that from you. And then she turns into this green energy. So we find out Morgan her mother is essentially what they've been fighting throughout time.
Right.
Because she's that green energy.
Right.
So my theory is Copernicus was smart enough to like figure out, I need to raise these people, not those people, because we found out the wrong ones are risen. Because this changes the cycle, and this will ultimately be the final battle. And maybe that's why he sacrificed himself. But and then the green energy, I think, is her mother. I don't think that they're the bad guys. I think her mother was just trying to rip that. Like she saw what she could do. Like her mom is the bad guy, but
Okay.
she does legitimately love her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So she wants that energy for her. She doesn't want her daughter to go through what she foresaw is going to happen, which is what we've seen
Hmm.
happen across time.
I
So
still
she
don't
was trying to
understand
protect her
the.
daughter from that.
I still don't understand the fox though. Like, is she like an
Well, it's because
aspect
Fox
of?
is the main character in this last episode, the nine-tailed fox.
Right. Is she like an
Um,
aspect of the mother, kind of? Because they wield the
yeah,
same
she
energy.
has
It
the
looks
same
like
sort of green, but she seems to be an independent entity. And then we've been
she's
introduced by
protecting.
another
She's sort
character,
of protecting them.
which, yeah, and well, we've been introduced to another character, which is this machine guy that apparently created Copernicus in
Right.
the future. It's implied,
Right.
and that's why his machine is like derived from him,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to like recover his power source. It's pretty complex, and it's an interesting show because
Love it.
it's mostly like voice acted in a kind of
Simple.
choppy way,
Yeah.
but yeah, simple. It's like they're like ma'am, and like you see like the cop and stuff like that.
I
And
love
then I
that little
felt bad.
scene when the cops are entering the theater or whatever, and it's just this weird little
Yeah,
bit. But it's
it's got the Looney Tunes feel like dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun, 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 dun,
it's
yeah,
just
like
knowing when to
that.
have fun.
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's top tier animation. The story is great. The action scenes are great.
Right.
The characters are interesting. Um, and yeah, it's it sets up all these different threads. I'm wondering how it's going to end. Like, how do you pull all those threads together? You
Right.
know?
Well, hopefully it will have an ending. It feels similar in some ways to Symbiotic Titan, in a
Yeah.
lot of good ways. Because God, I love Titan. Where it did the same thing, where it sort of sets up all these like loose threads that you can eventually come back to, and you just never give us season 2. Damn it, give us one more season. Bring it all
Well,
together.
so yeah, take a last episode. It was episode 6. Just show them take your
Oh,
money.
8,000%. Can't
Yeah,
wait. So
same for me. I loved
they're
it.
apparently oh, what's the monk's character? He's discovering how to sort of go through time, and he's trying to find the moment in time where
Yeah, and then it turns out the elf has hidden something because he knows the power source or something and how to fix him.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. We each have our theories. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week, and obviously we'll have a lot of opinions when it finally ends. Let's see, we got Battle Nerds.
battle
Um,
nerds. Battle nerds.
so last week, so Battle Nerds is a game where we had 100 iconic characters. We random roll to see who we get, and then we have to come up with a convincing argument as to why they would win in a battle. Last week we had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not
No.
teenage, sorry,
Conan. I wanna
Conan
say
versus Bender
I would say
Bending Rodriguez.
Conan. It's Conan. Conan.
In by a big margin, Bender won, which I heartily disagree with, but my opinion is, it's not my
Your
opinion. You guys
opinion
get to
is
vote.
invalid.
So Conan goes off the list, which I'm also bummed about because I like Conan as a character.
Yeah.
With Bender going on, my favorite response for it was someone. I'll see if I can pull it up. They posted the "Remember Me" when gif
Yeah.
to the battle. So clearly they voted for Bending. Yeah, Bender. That was from fellow nerd at Monarch DeFay.
That's funny.
He follows us. Appreciate.
Did
the
you ever
follows.
see the Conan the Barbarian show at Universal Studios?
I don't think so.
Oh, you should look it up sometime if it's on YouTube. I'm sure it's on YouTube. It was awesome because at the end they had like this big Hydra head come up. And it was all this sword. It was just one of those stunt shows, but it was Conan. And it's freaking awesome as hell.
I played the game recently. I rented my own server and just created my own universe and stuff like that. That was fun.
Cool.
I actually beat the whole thing. It's fun. Conan's in it, but you like have to like find him in places and stuff.
They should make a Conan game in the style of Golden Axe. Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should do that.
This was good though. I mean, same sort of deal. Like the first dungeon you go to, this is like Ark,
Yeah.
but with dungeons.
Right.
And like the first dungeon you go to, like a Hydra comes out of the thing, and you like got to run around stabbing it. And
Mm.
yeah, it's a really good game.
That game did
But
not want
and
to
also
load
it's kind of,
on my PlayStation. I can never get it to work.
well, you never joined me in my server. I had my own server. It would have worked just fine.
Yeah.
But you never joined me. But cat, stop. He wants the closet open, but my closet's a mess. That's why I closed it. He doesn't even go in it. Once I open it, he's just like, I'm glad this is open.
Right.
Cats
are evil.
Anyway, so anyway, so this week I fucking rolled low. I got Green Lantern, and you got the unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Yep.
So yeah, so why can Squirrel Girl beat Green Lantern, Cap?
Well, I see this going down several different ways. I'm not sure what version of Lantern you're going with, but I'm assuming that they're going to be traveling along, doing Green Lantern things, upon which they're going to receive a distress from something, that there's a squirrel energy readings or something, and they're going to have to go and investigate. Might show up, there's going to be a Squirrel Girl there's going to be some dialogue, and then when you turn the page of the comic, there's going to be like a Snickers ad, and it's going to be like, oh, feeling nutty for some Snickers? And there'll be like a Squirrel Girl there, and you'll be like, I kind of do feel like a Snickers. Then you'll probably go and grab a Snickers, and you'll be like, oh, this is delicious. Then you're going to turn a page, and all of a sudden there's going to be maybe Squirrel Girl standing next to whatever lantern, just probably tied up in strings or something, and she's now holding the lantern ring, thinking, oh, that looks pretty cool. The end.
So you're going for the Squirrel Girl to defeat things off panel.
Yes.
Yeah.
The unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, it's pretty much unbeatable. Well, okay, so how would I defeat the Squirrel Girl? The only way that you can really do that, I think, is by like distracting her. And so I imagine, like, if I grab a creative lantern, maybe Kyle Rayner or somebody, like, I'm not sure why they were fighting, but for whatever reason, two gods show up and like fight.
Right.
And like, so they have to go up against each other. Carl Rayner's doing his best, and somehow Squirrel Girl's just holding their own, and he doesn't quite get it. But then, like, what if he could win by, like, you know, making an official Kyle Rayner, like, you know, card? And she's like, great. And now she's like, oh, we're best buddies. And he makes cute little things and stuff to distract her.
So you're thinking the long game. This is the long, it's a meticulous plan.
Most people even consider that a win for her, because then she like wins that way. That's why it's hard to beat Squirrel Girl.
I did not want her on this list.
Yeah, it's just a hard one to debate. I mean, but I was, if it depends. If she goes up against someone like, say, Tama, it works. It's just, she's a parody character.
Right.
There was an episode of Dragon Ball Z where Vegeta, where they had a parody character fighting them, and Vegeta was like, "What are you doing? There's no point in fighting parody characters." And yeah, and he's got a good point. So
next list, we do no parody characters unless it's none.
No, I can do this. So
the key is to stand really still and not move.
No, the key to beating Squirrel Girl, like I said, is keep her distracted. Okay. A lantern ring is technically, I'm going to switch. I'm going to go to a villain lantern, because now it makes sense why they're fighting.
Okay.
So I'm a crazy Hal Jordan with all the rings now.
That's not a Green Lantern.
That's still a Green Lantern.
All right.
She comes she comes to stop me. I realize I can't beat her, so I create an entire like city, because we saw he did that is super squirrel friendly, and that her and her squirrel buddies can hang in. There's lots of cute fuzzy things,
right?
And I make giant things for her to fight so she can believe that she's a hero. So I trap her within my emerald nightmare. Thus, she is fighting. She's not fighting. It's like everything that she would want. Like,
Right.
so she's living in this enough, like, oh, I got to defeat Galactus, but I also got a test next week. Oh, so I basically entrap her into a world that she believes is exactly like the world she was already in, where she is an unbeatable Squirrel Girl, thus never fighting her, thus the battle's over, thus I've got all the rings and I'm all powerful.
Until when she's trapped in this universe, her like cell phone goes off and it's like, Jiminy Jillikers, I forgot I left that squirrel pie in the oven. Be right back, guys. And then you turn a page and it'll be like, are you hungry for squirrel pies? And then you'd be like, I kind of am. It's like, go, here's this coupon, and you can turn this in. You get free 3 proofs of purchase, plus postage and handling, blah, blah, blah. Get a hat. Turn a page, and there she is back at home. And here's evil Hal Jordan just, all angry like, because she escaped the emerald bubble, as you will. And Squirrel Girl.
All right, so your argument is Squirrel Girl wins because Squirrel Girl. My argument is I think a Green Lantern could win if he avoided the fight entirely.
Yeah,
but
just winning by not engaging. Yes,
winning by not fighting. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, that's our arguments. We'll put the polls up on Twitter. You guys can let us know, and Facebook. And,
I am going to immediately vote for Green Lantern because I do not want Squirrel Girl on this list. Vote for Green Lantern.
You can't vote. But anyway, let us know who you thought the one to debate, or more likely you'll just vote for your favorite character, but that's fine too.
Participation. I rolled a.
Oh, right. Yeah. Forgot about the list. So we'll roll to see who we get next week.
I got a 9. Yes.
You got a 9. Returning fighter Power Girl. You get her again.
Yay.
Too high. 20. This is an interesting one. Fuck. I don't know. Fuck. Kryptonians are fucking brutal. I got a cool character. I got Jessica Jones. Okay. I just don't. It's a Kryptonian, you know.
Right.
But anyways, tune in next week. We have to come up with a convincing argument as to why Power Girl or Jessica Jones would win a Battle Nerds. So we'll see that next week, and then make sure you vote to who you thought won, Squirrel Girl or Green Lantern.
Yes.
Let's see what we got left. Pretty much it. We just got random bullshit for the next 15 minutes. So I do have a question.
Yes.
Did you hear about this? In the Snyderverse films, it's been revealed recently that the ancient gods were supposed to be like the Zeus and all that, and we see them in the like cutscene in Justice League. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah, where we see them fighting Darkseid all those years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so apparently Zack Snyder's plan was that because there used to be ancient Kryptonians that like went out into the stars. Those were the gods.
Okay.
So the gods were Kryptonian.
And that's how, fast forward all that time, that they were aware of Earth and the yellow sun and all that crap. That makes sense.
No, they weren't aware of it, but it was just the colonists that went out there and then they've lost touch with.
Oh, okay.
One group happened to be, they came to Earth and they were gods, and then we see them fighting Darkseid all those thousands of years ago. Those were actually ancient Kryptonians.
That's cool.
I think this is a monumentally stupid idea, and I've said this, like, people are like, why? Because you say so. I'm like, well, no, I mean, like, if someone was like, hey, you know what's a good idea? I'm just going to tape a bunch of cats together. I'd be like, that's a bad idea. You know, like,
I want to see a bunch of cats taped together.
Yeah, it's a bad idea, though. Or like,
Shrink wrap them. Yes.
you shouldn't do that. But that's my point. Like, it's some ideas are just bad. Like, because this opens up all sorts of questions. Like, why do they have different powers to Superman and Zod and all that?
Because they've been there
Why,
longer.
like, what does this mean? Shazam gets his powers from ancient Kryptonians? Like,
Yes.
how does that work? Because I mean, you have the whole story in the original lore is you have the old gods and the new gods. So, are the new gods just advanced Kryptonians? This
Yes.
Wonder Woman, is her dad a Kryptonian?
Yes.
Because that was Zeus. Like,
Actually,
it
actually,
causes all
Superman's
sorts of
cousin.
problems.
Yes, they're all
What
related.
are your thoughts?
I think they're all related.
Okay, but do you think this is a good idea or a bad
I mean,
idea?
I thought it was an okay-ish idea. I thought it sounded cool in
Okay.
principle, but if you abandon the canon and just hey, explain, create your own DC universe with its own mythos with the characters. Okay, let's have them be ancient Kryptonians. Why do they have the powers? I don't know. Maybe because they've been there longer and they've just absorbed more of the energy. I don't know. Write it however you want to write it. I
So you're okay with it.
I
You think,
eh, it sounded
I just
okay.
I think like Zack Snyder made some cool movies, and I'm okay with most of the changes he made. But that idea to me just it handicaps any other movies being made, and
Right.
it
Because
it
you're
opens the
introducing all the Kryptonians and yeah.
yeah, and it shrinks down the world
Right.
instead of having like just there happens to be gods. You know what I mean? There's it's like no, everything comes from this one civilization. And it's like, I mean, then you're like, that's I don't know, like why not have a bigger universe where there's lots of things,
Right.
you know?
That's why I've always liked the Green
So yeah,
Lantern
I think it's a
Corps because
bad
you.
idea personally.
That's why I've always liked the Lantern Corps because you can see just how weird these other goobers are around
Yeah,
there.
Lantern Corps. Yeah, like
Like you
I
have the
mean, yeah,
meatball
you might.
guy, and like the tentacle guy, and the squirrel guy, and the face guy. It's just weird. But
One thing that's always annoyed me though is like when a lot of these other planets, like you meet like Kryptonians or you meet like Starfire's race or you meet
right.
all these other things. They all got these like fucking cool ass powers. Did we just like lose in the lottery like as humans?
Yes. Um.
And then, like, if we suck this much, why does everybody come here? You know, I guess there's meta genes and all
It's the
that. So,
meta genes. So.
yeah,
Uh.
you
Anyways.
know, like we got some crazy ones, but like not everybody wins that lottery.
Right.
Um, so okay, here's another question. What's a television character that you wanted to be when you were growing up, but then what's the actual character that you became as an adult? I'll give you mine that I
Oh
responded with.
God.
I wanted to be Prince Adam riding on like Battle Cat, by the power of Grayskull.
Right.
But who I ended up becoming was comic book guy. You know?
um. Where did I see myself back then, and where do I see myself now? Oh God. I was
Spike from Transformers.
yeah,
Let's go.
just God. I actually wanted to be like a pilot at one point. I was thinking like a Top Gun type, like Maverick.
Okay, so you saw yourself being Maverick as a kid?
Is sort of like a Maverick, but I grew up into the Big Lebowski. Like,
That's just like your opinion.
like, I'm good. I wear pajamas a lot. It's comfy. It's nice. I'm a writer. I have
Go
my
on some crazy mission to get a rug because it all ties the room together.
right. I bought new shoelaces the other day. It was lovely. Like I'm here with my coffee and my stitched glass, and I have my computers that I can work on
That's a good
stuff.
one. That's good. Well, let us know who you guys wanted to be and who you turned into. So I say He-Man and comic book guy. And Kat says Maverick and then the Big Lebowski.
Just the
Both
douchey.
very true, I think, as you know us. Like, I saw this thing that was talking about like when a guy says to a girl like "I'd do anything for you." This guy's like, "Let me explain." What they're actually saying is
Right.
they're willing to go fight bad guys and slay dragons. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I would play a dragon.
Right.
um, Anyway, so okay, here's another question. What did you think of the Black Bolt death scene in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness? Did you like it, and would you change it to anything else?
Did I think it was clever? Yes. Did I see it coming? No. Um, I'm pretty sure there's some physics there you have to sort of ignore, but I mean, I
Well, apparently, like when they were trying to write it, like I forget which writer said this, but they were like struggling, like, what do we do? How do we do it? And and all this, and then like they're like, well, so like, how do we kill Black Bolt? And then like they're like, it's he can kill you with a whisper from his mouth, and then like this one guy goes, what mouth? And then and that's where the idea came from.
but
I think it was fine. Here's what I would have
like his
done,
head
and
popped. It was very like it was a grisly scene. Like it was interesting.
yeah, but okay, here's what I would have done. And some people disagree with me in this because they think like I'm changing the lore of what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I would take a nod to World War Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
I would have him. I would have same thing. Reed going. He can kill you with a whisper,
Mm-hmm.
and then like the and then like watching her just get ripped apart.
Mm-hmm.
But then like she like reaches through it and then grabs his throat,
Mm-hmm.
and then she says that famous line from World War Hulk: "I didn't come here for a whisper. I want to hear you scream."
Oh
Because
yeah.
then it would have been like, "Holy shit, she tanked it,"
Right.
and that is just such a brutal line.
Right.
I just think that's one of my favorite lines in comics, and yeah, I think that would be awesome. A lot of people I posted on Twitter, a lot of people agreed with me.
Mm-hmm.
One person said though, "Nah, fuck that." That's how they write. Um, let comic book characters feet, don't mess with, they should be the feet of the correct
Right.
person
Right.
and
Right.
all that. Like I'm robbing Hulk or something like
So
that.
I did like when Black Bolt tanked Thanos. That was interesting. Where I think
You
Thanos
mean
showed
where
up.
Thanos tanked Black Bolt?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he did multiple times too.
Yeah, it's just
That
Thanos
was
is.
a confusing ass comic though, like that whole plot line. Like I couldn't like follow it at the end.
I just like when Thanos was like, "Hey, give me your shit," and Black Bolt's just, no, and it just, yeah. You see the panel from just like the orbital view of Earth. It's just Black Bolt's a cool character.
Yeah,
He
all
can
right.
only talk really within like this pocket dimension. Um, yeah, it's cool.
Well, anyway,
Anyway,
that's what I would do with that scene. I think that would be a pretty cool way to do it, and I just love that line.
mm,
And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think he's just taking a nod to a comic book.
yeah, yeah, I can
The
see why.
characters aren't correct, but like so.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, I can see why some people would be offended by another character robbing another of like their
I don't
moments.
think of it as robbing though. It's a different universe. Like like they're not all the same. In this universe, Captain Marvel is the Thor. Which, by the way, I put on the other day. I haven't finished it,
Mm.
but next time I'm just watching nothing. I'm just gonna put that rest of it on. I've been watching Captain Marvel again. Um,
I might
I
rewatch
don't
this.
know. I see where people are getting triggered by it. I just think it's stupid because like I mean, every girl I've ever like dated, befriended, I can't speak for these people, but these are all like I was at the gym with someone not that long ago,
Mm.
and this guy was like smile as like because she was. It's like, what the fuck is your problem, dude?
Right.
And like so shit like that obviously does happen.
Mm.
So I can see a movie where you have this ultra powerful chick, and someone says that like, oh, you want to say that again, motherfucker? And so I kind of get the appeal.
Right.
I'm enjoying the rewatch. I especially like the buddy cop feel between her and
Fury.
Fury. Yeah, having Fury in it was perfect. He plays opposite powerful women. Like he did you see the Long Kiss Goodnight?
No.
That had that kind of that had that same kind of feel to it.
Mm.
It was where oh god, I forget the actress's name, but she plays an assassin, and he plays like this detective, like private investigator that helps her out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good movie.
I'll check it out. That'll be a
Uh,
we have 2 minutes. Let's see here. What question do I have here? Hold on. I had something written down. Ba-ba-ba.
I sure enjoy the cold, crisp taste of a Diet Coke.
Yes. You have to hold it up, Frosty. I sure do love these Oakleys. Yes. I love these Oakley. You know what's funny is that I bought these Oakleys, and then my childhood best friend Andy bought the same exact pair of sunglasses. It was weird. Because I don't think these are like the actual glasses. It's a different frame with a different set of lenses or something. But the odds of that. That's the universe.
Well,
man.
let's see what else is going on. Comic. We got a couple of
Any
posts
shout
from people.
outs or
Oh yeah. Thank you, Monarch DeFay and Richard Lumsden for liking the posts that were live. Also, Lore Reloaded. Here was a question posted by someone. What do you dip your chicken nuggets in?
barbecue sauce? Chicken,
Yeah, I'm a honey
chicken McNuggets or just chicken nuggets?
Chicken McNuggets, yeah, like specifically where you're getting
So
from.
chicken McNuggets would be barbecue sauce. That is, yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, I use honey.
You like the honey?
And then, yeah, like because you can get those honey packets.
Yep.
And they're just like the other ones. You just dip them straight in. White Owl, our friend Rob, he was questioning me like straight honey. Yes, it's just honey, dude, but it tastes really, really good.
I can see how that could be really good on a chicken McNugget.
And I mean, then again, it's McDonald's honey, so maybe it isn't just honey.
Where there should only be one ingredient in honey, somehow McDonald's manages to shove 7 ingredients in there, and none of them.
But yeah, they have those little honey things you can dip right in. That's pretty good. Let's see what else is going on Twitter. Oh, it's 12:30. So all right, we'll end up the show.
Yeah.
So, but the question is out to you guys. What do you dip your chicken McNuggets in?
Barbecue sauce. McDonald's ranch is weird. Have you ever had it? There's something just unpleasant about it. But
I like their sweet and sour, and I have to admit, they had it for a while, and I tried it. The sauce that Rick likes. It's good. It's legit good. I enjoyed it. Like I ordered it twice. I enjoyed it. Like it's not like I would end entire universes for it,
right.
But you know, it tastes like a nice sauce with a vaguely kind of Szechuan kind of sauce flavor to it.
Interesting. Okay.
But McDonald's fine, of course.
Of course. Anyways, we like to end the. My goodness, got ahead of myself. For those of you who watched today, both versions of The Taking, thanks for watching. For those who are going to watch one video and be like, what happened? And then click on this second link, thanks for watching. We do like to end the show with a nerdy quote by Mr. Frosty. Mr. Frosty.
Okay, this is one of my favorite quotes in comics. You're much stronger than you think you are.